Welcome back to my channel. How do you round decimals? And what if the number is a 9? What does it round to then? We're talking about rounding decimals. Let's get into it right now.
It's like every day.
So I've split this lesson into two parts. So we're on how to round decimals. So the first 3 questions, I'm going to be rounding the decimals to their relevant places. And then in the second half, we're going to be rounding up a 9. So we'll get to this one in a minute. So let's start with question 1. Here we have 5.78 and we're rounding to the 10th place. The 10th place is the first number after the decimal. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look to the right. And in order to round this underlined digit, we have to look to the right of that number. And then we ask ourselves, we look at this number and then we say, is this number more than 5 or less than 5? So there's a saying for that. So the saying is 5 or above, give it a shove, give this a shove. 4 or less, let it rest. So we're either rounding up or the number stays the same. So as you can see, the 8 obviously is more than a 5. So 5 or above, give it a shove. So you're giving the 10th place a shove to the next digit. So we don't do anything to the whole number, so that still remains a 5. But the 7 rounds up to the next number, which is an 8. So this is 5.8. Let's move on to the next one. So here we have 0.355, and we're rounding to the 100th place, which is the 5 in the middle. So the first thing we have to do, you look to the right. And when you look at this number, this is a 5. So 5 or above, give it a shove. Give this underlined digit a shove up to the next digit. Okay, so this still stays the same, 0.3. And then the 5 moves up to a 6 because of this digit being 5 or above. So it's 0.36. And you always stop your answer at the underlined digit. So if you're rounding to the 100th place, you stop at the 100th place. So it's 0.36. If you're rounding to the 10th place, your answer stops at that place. All right, let's go ahead to the third one. So we have 28.6791, and here we're rounding to the 1000th place. So we look to the right of that number, and what do we see? We see a 1. So 5 or above, give it a shove, but no, it's not 5 or above. It's 4 or less, so let it rest. Let the 9 rest. So it does not go up, it stays. So we repeat the whole number, 28.679. The 9 stays the same because the 1 was a 4 or less. All right, let's go up to the rounding up a 9 area now. So what happens when you're rounding and that number's a 9? What happens to that number? Let's have a look. So for number 4, we have 0.795. Here we're rounding to the 100th place. So you still look to the right, right? And it's a 5, so 5 or above, give it a shove. So we're giving the underlined digit a shove up to the next digit, but after 9, it's a 10, which has 2 digits in it. So what we have to do is we have to regroup or carry, right? So 9, we got to a 10. So the 1 gets carried over there or regrouped up here. The 9 turns into a 0, and then we add these 2, which is going to be an 8. There you go. So your answer is 0.80. It's 0.8, 0.80. It's the same value because this has no value because there's a 0 in its place. But because it was in the 100th place, you stop at that place. All right, let's have a look at number 5. So we have 42.298 and we're rounding to the 100th place again. So you look to the right of that underlined digit and what do we see? We see an 8. So 5 or above, give it a shove. So we're giving the 9 a shove to a 10. And just like before, because 10 has 2 digits, we regroup or carry it over, right? So the 9 turns into a 0 here. And then we add the 2 plus 1, which becomes a 3. the whole number of 42 stays exactly the same, right? So we end up with 42.3, 42.30. They have the same value. Let's go to our final one. So we have 69.8 here. 69 is the whole number. We're rounding to the ones place, which is on the other side of the decimal, but the rule is still the same. So we look to the right of that number. So we have an 8, 5 or above, give it a shove, give this a shove to the next digit. So we regroup or carry, and then this added on becomes a 7. And so 69.8 results in the answer of 70. 5 or above, give it a shove. 4 or less, let it rest. Those are good sayings actually to help you to remember what to do when you're actually rounding the decimals. Let me know what you think about that saying, and does it help? Like, comment and subscribe with that notification bell so you'll know every time I upload, which is every Wednesday. And I will see you next time in another math video. Thank you for watching. Class dismissed.
Every day.